Hey bro, let me tell you a story. I was taking my oral exam at the GC O levels, and my name was just called, and I am fucking panicking. So basically, how the exam worked was we will have a group of students in this holding room, and then slowly, one by one, their names will be called, and they will go to this other room where they will be given like the topic of the examination and given 10 minutes to prepare a planned response. And then they'll go to another room with two examiners from other schools to take the oral test, which is basically you give the planned response followed by a spoken interaction where the examiners will fire questions at you and you have to come up with answers on the spot. And guess what? I was the last one to be called. And so my stress levels have basically built up for over 3 hours of waiting in the cold ass freaking holding room. And so when I finally get called, I go to the preparation room, look at my question, prepare my planned response as best as I can with my insanely freaking elevated heart rate. It was like I was having a mini panic attack throughout the entire course of the exam. And then I go into the exam room with the two strangers who are going to decide my fate, basically. I try to look confident, straight back, chest up, shoulders back, whatever. I was trying to convince myself that I wasn't actually that nervous. And when I sit down, I immediately start hearing rapid thumping on the table like this. I heard it. And then I looked down at my left hand. So basically I was holding my watch in my left hand. It's not the same watch I was holding at the time, but so basically I was holding my watch in my left hand so I could time the planned response, because there's a 2-minute time limit, but they don't actually tell you how far you are into the 2 minutes until the 2 minutes ends. So I looked down and I realized the thumping noise was because my hand was shaking so hard that the watch I was holding was colliding rapidly with the table like this, and that's where the thumping was coming from. I had a kind of self-awareness moment. I was like, holy shit, I'm actually nervous as fuck. I immediately tried to stop my hand from shaking. It kind of stops, but not really. I try to give my planned response the best I can, and then I tried my best to answer their questions afterwards. And after the oral examination ended, I was like, hell yeah, it's done. But then, as my stress levels got lowered, as I calmed down, I started coming up with answers to the questions asked during the oral exam that were 10 times better than what I actually said. And I started realizing shit, I could have said this to answer that question. I made this one mistake in my planned response or whatever. And I was like, crap, it's so over. I realized just how stressed I was, that when I left the exam venue and my adrenaline started to cool down, I immediately came up with better answers to the same questions. And you can relate to this, right? I'm telling you this story because exams are stressful as hell, no shit. And this tends to affect the performance of a lot of students during the exam. It's not only during oral exam. Some students find themselves freezing or having their mind going blank during written papers. And you can probably relate to this feeling where after the exam, when you calm down, you start having a whole bunch of regrets shit, I should have wrote this, I made this mistake for this question, I should not have wasted my time on this question, I should have done that question instead of this one. And this is even before you and your classmates share your answers or whatever. You can relate to this, right? So it's clear that stress does really affect your performance and your grades. And it's just horrible for your mental health to have this feeling of regret, of shame, that you could have done something better, which will obviously affect your performance for tomorrow's paper. The reason stress affects your performance is because stressful situations screw with your thinking. They make your thinking more narrow, basically, when you are stressed. When you are stressed, you get put in this kind of survival state, this fight, flight, freeze response where you can't think creatively, you can't find alternative solutions to the same problem. And you can see how this is a horrible brain state to be during exams, right? Especially for essays and oral exam, where the entire point of the exam is to be creative and come up with unique points to stand out from the crowd. and get good grades, right? So if you want some tools to deal with stressful situations in general, not just for exams, keep watching. Tool number 1, the physiological sigh. Basically, the physiological sigh is a breathing pattern that was invented / discovered in the 1930s, and it's recently been popularized by this neuroscientist guy called Dr. Andrew Huberman as a tool for short-term stress control. The reason I said invented / discovered is because humans actually subconsciously do this breathing pattern, especially during sleep, just because of how important it is for the body. Imagine that it's such an important breathing pattern that your body literally does it naturally when you sleep. So the physiological sigh is really simple. You take this very deep inhale through the nose, and then a second inhale through the nose where you're kind of trying to force in another breath, and then slow exhale through the mouth like this. I'll show you. Do this with me. So deep inhale through the nose, force in another breath through the nose, slow exhale through the mouth. And if you did that with me just now, you instantly feel more calm and relaxed, right? So your actionable step before or during an exam, or whenever you're in a stressful situation, try this physiological sigh. It's really simple to do and quite effective as well. You can repeat it several times, do it as many times as you need to. Lower your stress as much as you think you need to. Tool number 2, raising your stress threshold. Now, the physiological sigh is a short-term tool to reduce stress, but we have long-term methods to increase your stress threshold, to kind of prepare for stressful situations, so that when those stressful situations, those stresses do inevitably come, you won't be as stressed and you'll be able to manage them better. This is done by intentional, controlled exposure to stressful conditions of high adrenaline, elevated heart rate, etc. There are many ways you can do this, like certain types of exercise, certain breathing techniques that actually increase your adrenaline instead of keeping you calm. But my favorite one, and the most simple one, is cold showers. Okay, so I made like 3 videos talking about cold showers, but in order to use cold showers as a way to increase your stress threshold, you need to do a few extra steps. You know how a cold shower goes. You turn the shower to the coldest setting, stand in front of it, and then turn it on. But if you want to use it as a way to prepare for stressful situations, you have to extend the cold shower to like a minute or longer than that, and you have to intentionally try to keep calm and relax during the cold shower. Try to relax some of your muscles which may have been involuntarily activated and flexed due to the adrenaline spike, especially the glutes. You can even practice the physiological sigh during the cold shower to keep calm. This will literally increase your ability to deal with stress in the long term. And so slowly but surely, when you enter an exam hall, you'll go from borderline panic attack to no big deal, I studied for this, and if I didn't, it is what it is. So your actionable step is to do this every morning. Extended cold shower, try to stay calm during the cold shower. And it's gonna be uncomfortable, of course it is, but this practice could very well be the thing to sharply increase your grades, especially if you're the type of student who freezes or your mind goes blank during exams. So do this every day, bro. Tool number 3, sunlight. The sun is so fucking underrated, really. When you ask people to tell you about the benefits of sunlight, they'll just say, oh, you get vitamin D. And they probably don't even know what vitamin D does. You think you're gonna get one vitamin from the infinite source of life that is the freaking sun? Exposure to sunlight improves your sleep. It sets your circadian rhythm, increases your focus. It also improves creativity. Like, there's a lot of YouTubers who say they can only script videos when they sit beside a window, otherwise they'll instantly get writer's block. I personally don't relate, but it does show how important sunlight is. It also improves hormone health, which for the boys just means it increases your testosterone, if that's something you care about. It improves your mood, makes you more energized. Like literally do an experiment. The next time it's afternoon like this, where the sun is directly overhead, just go outside to an open area and you can instantly feel the spike in your energy and you instantly just feel better. Oh yeah, last but not least, it improves the stress control. Before every single one of my O-level written exams, I would just go out in the open or go to the very edge of the corridor and just get some sunlight in my eyes. Don't look directly at the sun, cause that's gonna hurt your eyes. Just look slightly away from it. And to be honest, I don't know if that's the reason I got straight A's for my O-levels, but it is very clear to me that sunlight reduces your stress, it energizes you for the exam. So you can try this out. Immediately before every exam, just go get some sunlight in your eyes for like 1 to 5 minutes. By the way, if it's cloudy or if it's raining, there's actually technically still sunlight. It's just in lower amounts. And you just have to extend your sunlight exposure to like 10 to 15 minutes. As long as it's not pitch black outside like during midnight, there's still some sunlight, okay? So there's still benefit to being in an open space and looking at the sky. So, your actionable step. Next time you take an exam, view some sunlight, get some sun in your eyes for 1 to 5 minutes or 10 to 15 minutes if it's cloudy or if it's raining, immediately before the exam. Tool number 4, knowing the truth. I'm actually having an exam period right now, and before every exam, my classmates would always be whining. They were saying that they're fucked, they're cooked, it's over, it's over, I didn't study, I'm not prepared, I'm actually gonna fail. And I always say the same thing to them. No, you're good, you've already prepared for the exam, the best you can. And I'm not saying this to like comfort them or anything, I'm saying it because it's the truth. I said this in a previous video, but I'll say it again. 80% of your studying is done during class when the teacher is explaining the concept for the first time. That's when your studying occurs. So if you have good sleep and you can pay attention in class, then you've already done like 80 to 90% of the studying that you need to do. Just because you didn't review your notes doesn't mean the information and concepts aren't already in your head. You're gonna score relatively well, guaranteed. But if you're sleep deprived and you didn't pay attention in class, well, there's not much you can do to change the outcome, if I'm being honest. You probably don't have the time to study or learn the concepts from scratch, especially not on the day of the exam. So the best you can do for the exam is try your best. And then after that, you can start improving your sleep and your health. Do a few consults with your teachers about the topics that you are not paying attention to or whatever. So either way, there's not much you can do to improve your grades on the day of the exam itself, other than just stay calm. Reframe the situation in your mind. Look at it like this. You've already prepared for the exam to at least 90% of your potential. All the time you wasted or that you made use of is done. You really don't have to worry about it. The exam stress comes from the prediction, the conclusion that your brain jumps to depending on what you did or didn't do. Literally, if you're stressed for exam, it's only because your brain thinks that you're not prepared for it because you didn't study this topic or didn't look at this page. So just, I don't know how to really describe this. Imagine you're a military commander during a war. You weren't able to prepare enough ammunition and equipment and manpower to counter this enemy attack that's coming in 1 hour. Would you panic? Or would you go, fuck it, we do our best, we give it our all, and then if we come out alive, then we look back and try to fix our mistakes. But for now, it's do mode. Right before an exam, it's good to kind of temporarily dissociate yourself from your regrets or mistakes and just take what you have and try your best. So what if you didn't study? So what if you are fucked? Your 80-year-old self isn't gonna be disappointed or regretful that you failed or didn't get good grades in a test. He or she is probably gonna be more worried about the lessons you learned from that negative experience. This is a pretty good mindset to have right before an exam. I hope you found this video helpful. Please give me any criticism and feedback in the comments. Criticize me as much as you can. And I wish you a good day.